It is No Gifts, Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption.
I'm Jenny Anchondo.
And I'm Steve Noviello, and we have waited a long time for this moment. I mean, how long have I known you?
Our whole friendship. We've been needing to have a show together.
We started working together how long ago? It's got to be
10 years ago.
Figure your daughter is 6, Jacob is 6. Mm-hmm. So at least
10 years
that,
ago.
right?
And then decade.
And then plus, but here we are. We've talked about how nice it would be.
Well, and it's funny because I posted a while back saying, I've got a special announcement coming up. And a bunch of people were like, you and Steve are having a show. I'm like, that is super weird and a great idea.
Yes.
And we hadn't even really solidified this. This was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then we were thinking, I guess that people said we should do it.
And here we are. Well, first up, the real news. Congratulations. Pregnant.
Thank you.
6 months along.
Oh my gosh.
Which I'm so excited about for you. I know that's, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in an upcoming episode. That has been a road.
It's been a road. And yeah, I'm not the only one. You guys have had a road. Lots of people. It's I didn't realize how relatable it was, but I'm a completely different person than I was when we met. And I'm a completely different person than I was when I had Brighton so easily.
Well, and I'll tell you, I feel like that's kind of the premise of why we were like, you know what, this is the show and the show is going to be about parenting. Because we are, I think, so you really grow up when you talk about priorities that change. And I mean, all of the different things that I worry about now that I didn't used to worry about. And I do think that, so for those of you who don't know us, let's probably start there.
That's true.
Right. I mean,
eventually, hopefully people that don't know us will be listening. So yes.
We're assuming you all know who we are. So I'll let you go first.
Well, who am I outside of Steve's friend? That is the big question. So I host a show here in Dallas called Inside DFW with Moi on CW. But I met Steve working at Fox 4. I've been doing news and broadcasting for 20 years and transitioned out of traditional news into lifestyle content 5 years ago, which has been a big sigh of relief, a big breath of fresh air. I feel like it was what I was always supposed to do. But I think I was trying to prove something by being, serious news anchor.
Right, journalism with a capital J. Doesn't count otherwise.
Exactly. I mean, I wanted to write for a newspaper, but then they weren't really, hiring. So I was like, well, let's do TV. So that's what I do. I have been married for 7 years. I have a 6-year-old daughter, one on the way, due end of December. If you guys want to make your guesses, are we going, 2023, 2024? Well,
because the first one was, she was in there. You got to pull her out.
She was 2 weeks late, 42 weeks. And I just had my appointment with the doctor. And the only bit of concern, she said, listen, mindset wise, we're not pulling that crap again. You're not going to come in here let me wait another week. She's like, you are 41 years old, with all due respect, but it's a super, I forget if it was a super geriatric. It's a
geriatric pregnancy. Yes.
So, I was already geriatric with
the
Brighton.
First time.
This is it's like a bonus geriatric or super or extra. It's just you're very, very old woman.
It's a very nice term.
Yes. So, so hopefully it'll be this year. That's what my doctor says.
I think it will. So me, Steve Noviello, it's funny. You wake up one day and all of a sudden you've been in DFW for 20 years. This October is our 20-year anniversary here in Dallas. My husband, Doug, and I moved here before we were married. We moved here together, and frankly, when we got here, we thought, how it is in our business, 1 or 2 contracts. I'm from New York originally. I thought, get my, chops in DFW, Market 5, and I'm out of here. And off we go back to New York. Well, here we are 20 years later, married with 2 kids. Hudson is 4 and Jacob is 6. And it is just the best decision we ever made. Obviously, we're 2 guys. It took some doing. It was a bit of process to have children. That's a whole nother story.
I do want an episode on that.
Absolutely. We really spent a lot of time chronicling. Well, I really spent a lot of time chronicling that because I want my kids to know their story. And sometimes at night I tell them that as their bedtime story. They'll say, Daddy, tell me the story of Jacob and Hudson, which just,
my heart. Oh
right?
My gosh.
Yeah. Look, we both spend a lot of time on television kind of, and I hate this word, but kind of being perfect, right?
Speak for yourself. But yes, they don't get to hear from us.
Right. Yeah. You never get a haircut. You never get sick. You never, you know what I mean? You never get a pimple. Mm-hmm. These are not the realities of life. And people almost saw the reality during COVID when we were broadcasting from home and it was just just keep the shot tight. Like, because right outside of frame, I had a dog running around and kids running around and a mess in the kitchen and, whatever else the kid is. So I think that this is such a neat opportunity for us to really talk about the reality of our journey, not only to parenthood, but now that we're here, what it's been like.
I agree. And I think that there's a lot of relatability with working parents that are not in TV.
Yeah.
Right. We're still just doing that same clock in that everybody else is doing. Right. And I think that a lot of people are mystified by that. They'll think, oh, Jenny just shows up and does the show and then she's out of here. And it's like Jenny's posting on the web and calling people at night, confirming stories and Brighton's there in the background. And I just I'm hoping that the person on the other end is also a parent so that they'll understand and not think that I'm unprofessional. Right. And they may still think that. But yeah, I just think that it was time for us to be able to be ourselves, and people do feel connected to us, but this is going to be like a very different type of connection.
Well, because listen, and we joke about this, like on my, we have been blessed to have a huge following here, not only locally, but for our properties across the country, and that these days means a big social media following. And it's always so funny to me. We joke that, I could put up the most important story about an Amber Alert or a missing kid or somebody needs your help, 5 likes. But man, I post about how I couldn't find a light bulb and I sent my husband a text and he directed me right to it from 1,000 miles away, 5,000 likes. I think that people really enjoy the reality of what we're up to.
Or how your 2 little angels have been jumping on the couch so much that the bottom was just starting to become a little bit dislodged.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, because the reality is, look, we're navigating this just like other people are navigating it, not only for the kids, but kind of for ourselves. Now, our children, Brighton is in 1st grade, Jacob's in 1st grade. We're kind of navigating what that looks like, not only for them, but for us. I'm making a whole new set of parent friends.
Oh, isn't that?
I'm assuming you have parent friends. You're my parent friend.
We are parent friends, and I'm glad. It's fun to have a parent friend not at school too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So you can kind of collaborate or even just be yourself a little bit more, because I say to Heath, my husband, so often, like, babe, he had this hat that we gave him for Father's Day. This is best dad ever.
No.
And so we were going to like the back to school bash, and he's like, this is the perfect, there's going to be tons of dads there. I should wear my best dad ever. I'm like, can you not? Because they don't know you and they don't know your sense of humor. We're just trying to fit in. Like, we're just trying to glide in, make a couple mom friends. You can make a couple dad friends, whatever. And so he didn't, but he does the other, that he shows up in his monster truck or
I love it.
Sunglasses.
He's so much fun. Okay, so speaking of clothes, so Brighton goes to private school.
Yes.
Where there's a uniform. Now, you guys came to our house the other day for a little swim party, and she sassed her way right into our house in her, what I'm assuming is a homemade crop top.
Well, yes.
It was the ununiformiest outfit I had ever seen.
She is 6 years old. She has wanted a crop top, and it was a hard no. In fact, we chose her entire cheerleading gym based on the fact that this one gym does not do that crop tops on account of just, I could go into it, but I just feel like crop tops can wait till later, right? So she is big into designing her own clothes, and she cut up an old top of hers, cut off the sleeves, cut off the bottom, and made a crop top, and then asked for frayed white shorts. I didn't know what the frayed white shorts were for. And I was like, I get that you hate your uniforms. You want to express yourself on the weekend. Sure. So it comes together, and this top has like white polka dots, the white shorts. It made its debut at your house, where she knows the crop top is only for our house. When she made it, I said, that's actually pretty creative. I honestly was very impressed. She really wanted something. I said, no, she made it. So then when I said, hey, we're going over to Jacob and Hudson's, bring a change of clothes, she's like, oh, okay.
And that's what she put in the bag.
Challenge, except that's all she put. Well, except aside from the dress that Jacob had. That we
another day. Yeah. She came out. She was it's funny, when they got out of the pool, she was very excited about that about that outfit.
She couldn't wait to get out because it's the uniform, and she just learned that. Well, and honestly, in DFW, so for those who are listening that aren't here, we're right in the city of Dallas, which is, massive. And there are a fair amount of school districts, public school districts, that do have uniforms, which I need to remind her of, because she learned that it seemed to her that private schools have uniforms, public schools don't. So when she's out at a playground, she's like, where do you go to school? Is it public? And then she'll say, Mom, I just met Lainey. She goes to public school. I think we should go there. She gets to wear whatever she wants. So
she gets to wear crop tops.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, Lainey still does not get to wear crop tops, right? Like even, I mean, could Jacob and Hudson's...
I won't even let them wear a tank top to school. Yeah, I just don't think it's appropriate.
Yeah. So can you please tell Brighton it's inappropriate?
Okay, so let's talk. So obviously we're going to be talking about a lot about school. One of the reasons why we decided to launch this time of year is because, listen, it's the traditional beginning of school. Everybody's back in session. Although what that looks like is changing so much. I mean, I've got friends who their kids now go to school 12 months a year with kind of those big built-in European breaks. But the thing that's really been making the rounds here in DFW is the 4-day school week. Feelings.
Working parents' nightmare. I
don't get it. I think everyone is so excited about this. And I'm like, do you not work? And maybe you do work. Are they at home? And by the way, I love those boys. But 2 days on the weekend is really plenty of time for me.
That's sufficient.
It's sufficient of 2 days of because what does the extra day mean? Is it, hey, this is our day off, or is it now another day of soccer and Boy Scouts and play dates and cheerleading and or whatever else your kid is into? I mean, is anybody getting the day off here?
Nobody's getting the day off. I mean, I would be at work. I think that would add more. Just the working parent guilt, I think, is the blow is lessened for those who have it. And I don't want to put it on people that don't have it. Like, don't let my guilt, like, listen, raised Catholic, I don't need to guilt everybody. But for me, once the school year starts, I just feel more comfortable when I'm at work, because when I think about Brighton, I'm like, okay, well, she's at school, she's learning, that's what she's supposed to be doing. And we will regroup at the end of the day. Right. If I worked a 4-day week, I would actually love and treasure that 1 day with her, but one is easier than 2. I mean, look, and she's just at a super easy age.
I can't wait for you to have together. 2.
I know. No, I'm acknowledging. Like, I know it's easier for me. Like, one is like none. One is
and
so
she's such
easy.
a good kid too.
She's very, aside from the crop top ordeal, she's very good, and we can go get our nails done together. We like the same foods. She'll
go on a walk.
We'll go on a walk. We'll walk the dog. She'll skate. She'll do yoga with me upstairs. I mean, it's a very easy period. I know these are fleeting, so I'm just soaking it up and acknowledging it. So if the magical thing happened where I worked 4 days a week and she went to school 4 days a week during a time when I wanted to hang out with her all day, that would be great. But no, I just don't understand. I mean, most people that I know there's 2 working parents. I just don't get how people do it.
Yeah. Well, and let me also, this is a good time for us to talk about interactivity here, because one of the great blessings of being here and having built up, a following of people who we've really gotten to know over the years via social media or via, whatever else is there, being accessible to them. So as we kind of build our social media following for this platform, please feel free to reach out to us. My Facebook is at Steve Noviello. Oh, actually, it's at Save Me Steve. My Instagram is at Steve Noviello. And then also our new email address for the show, nogiftspodcast@gmail.com. And we really would love to hear from people about, we're going to be doing a question of the day and talking about different topics and what do you want to hear about and what do you want to know about us? Because again, well, at least I do, read off a teleprompter at work. There's not a whole lot of, ad-libbing sometimes in the mornings, but it is what it is. There's no prompter here. There's no filter. There's no prompter. Ask your questions.
There's no editing. What we say is what we say. This is it.
Right.
I am curious to know if there's a perspective I'm missing, though, with the 4-day week, because it just does seem to be more prevalent. And I wonder if maybe more people, I think a lot of people are working from home. And I think a lot of people are like not really working a full week, if we're being honest, right? I mean, who's like...
No. I mean, listen, I mean, with all due respect, and I'm guilty of it as well, right?
Envy.
For sure. But I think that the whole pandemic situation has really decreased. First of all, it has increased the amount of time with which it takes to get things done, right? For a long time there, no longer could I walk across the room and be like, hey, Jenny, what do you think of this idea? And you'd say, how about this idea? And I'd say, how about this one? And you'd say, great, let's do a compromise. We're good to go. Now I'm sending you an email and maybe you're in front of your computer. Maybe you're at Pilates. Maybe you're, whatever,
Getting my nails done with my 6-year-old.
Maybe you're not, people, which is nice. I mean, God, wouldn't a work-life balance be so wonderful? And I get that the 4-day work week really works for people, and I would love to hear from those folks. I will say a lot of the districts that we're hearing about say we're doing some sort of like care where they can still come to school.
Just do school.
Right.
Like, that's dumb. Just do school.
See that? Okay, so
it seems like that to me says less education, plus lengthening.
Well, they do lengthen the day.
That's not, and that's like the endurance. I mean, Have you seen the attention span of a child?
Yeah.
I mean, even adults don't have attention spans anymore.
Right. We're doing 20-minute episodes for a reason.
I barely sit through my own podcast. I think lengthening the day is risky too, because then their sports stuff is later.
Yeah.
And we prioritize that around Texas. We need them to be fresh for.
Let's not even. I mean,
that's another
children's sport. Too. Okay, write it down. Kids sports.
No.
Your mind is going to explode when I tell you what we almost had to pay for football. Thank God he didn't like it. Thank God.
He's out.
There was almost a comma in the price.
Oh, well, you have one more for the commas. I'm on standby for that. I am on. I mean, I feel like it's obvious. Like, are they not already recruiting him?
I feel like he's so, they're very different. I think, by the way, like my outlook on nature versus nurture has totally changed. It is like these kids are raised, we say in the same house, but not really, right? I mean, one had 2 years on the other one, your first child, your second child, whatever. But generally, they're exposed to all the same things. And like Hudson is like theatrical and has a huge imagination and loves to tell stories and is really animated and, likes to hide behind a door and then have it shut. And then he, steps to the side and the door swings open and he's gone. And then he like reappears. I mean, loves to put on a show. Hudson for Thanksgiving. So we built we hired someone to build like a deck in our yard that has like a hidden sandbox in it.
Yeah, I love that feature.
You saw it, right?
Just having sandbox envy, yeah.
So Hudson came home, he said, "Daddy, what are the workers doing in the yard?" I said, "Oh, they're building something for you, buddy." And he looked at it and he looked back at me and goes, "Is it a stage?" Yes.
Oh,
yes, it is.
You natured that and you nurtured that.
I will tell you. And come Thanksgiving, he had people auditioning before dinner.
Oh my gosh, I'm sad I wasn't called in to audition the other day. We were just there. I was never asked up on stage. I'm almost offended. Oh, that is so fun. You know what I wish I would have done before we started this show?
Tell me.
I know I'm just going to tell everybody since there's no editing. Well, what's the word? I'm thinking of like 50 Shades of Grey. They had like a code word, like a
safe word.
A safe word. I should have thought of a safe word if there's a topic. But anyway.
Too late now.
So I guess just,
No holds barred, right? And again, the topics, we're talking, it's interesting. We again had kids within, so I remember the day at work, I was sitting in an edit bay and you walked in, you were like, "I have something to tell you." And you're like, "I'm pregnant. I'm due in May." Her birthday's in May.
End of May.
And it was probably, you had to be after your first trimester. So,
yeah.
Well.
And then you one-upped me. You were like, "Oh, dear sweet child."
Did I tell you right then and there? I don't even know that I did.
I thought you did.
No, I don't. I don't think I would have stolen your thunder like that.
You were just like.
Yeah. Well, because
newbie.
Right.
We were having a baby like momentarily. Like Jacob was like, being
I actually
born.
have to go.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
You all
we didn't tell anybody.
That.
We, again, the process, and we'll get into it another time, but the process, it's, as you know, now that you've gone through IVF, is, a bit dodgy, at times. Certainly not as much fun, I will say, as a traditional and easy road for, to having children. And then, also it was kind of neat because I wasn't getting bigger every day. Well, now that I've had kids, but we were able to like really determine when we were ready, to tell people. But I will never forget that day that you came in and told me that you were pregnant, because the first one happened fast.
Oh, immediately. That's why I was so naive. That's why I'm such a changed person, because I had such a little understanding, even for you guys. I imagined that it was just such a simple thing. That you just decide and you go and the doctors do their thing and, 100%. You're pregnant, or, the surrogate's pregnant, the gestational carrier's pregnant. It's like you pay your money and move on with life. And it's just and that also, side note, that is obviously the case for some people. It really
100%.
is. So I don't want to put out, negative vibes, because hopefully that will be the case for anybody who's listening or thinking about that. But often it's just like years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I had no idea when you told me. I'm imagining, Steve and Doug, like they found an egg donor and they just decided today and it's just happening. I also didn't realize at that time how having children around the same time can bond you to somebody forever.
Yes.
Like in the best way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And again, talking about the ignorance at the time, I remember our IVF doctor, we were talking about egg retrieval, and he said, "How many, we were talking about how many eggs we were going to need. And we were like, well, we want to have 2 kids. So what do we need? 2 eggs? Oh, no, not the case.
How many? You dozens.
Not the case. Not the case. But let's let that be our cliffhanger for today. Listen, we want to thank you all for tuning in. It's season 1, episode 1. It's No Gifts, Please. With finally, I get the opportunity to sit next to you. And here's the thing that we need from our listeners: a call to action here. Send us your questions. Talk to us about your parenting pitfalls, because from the stains on the shirt to the eating goldfish crackers out of the cushions in the couch when there's no other food. We've been there. So we want to remind you to click subscribe, to come back and join us. But most importantly, go ahead and find yourself a friend that you don't need to clean the house for.
I love it. This was so fun. I can't wait to do it again.